A warm welcome to the ARU Start-up Podcast. My name is Omkar Singh, and today we have our guest, Julian Gibbs, who is a partnership development manager at Research Innovation Development Office. Julian has got a rich experience in policy making, at working at a government level, and also with working with the startups from the wider sector. So let's welcome Julian Gibbs. Hello, Julian.
Omkar, thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation. It's really interesting because I've just reflecting there when you introduced me about sort of working with government, and I have, work very closely with government at a central and a local level. And one of the things which you might know or might not know, and your listeners might be interested in, is that outside of what I do for ARU, is I'm a local politician. So I sit on a local authority in Ipswich where I live. So my engagement with business is very much working via ARU, so the stuff I do via ARU, and in lots of engagement with businesses across, our geographical footprint of Cambridgeshire and Essex, but also as a local politician. So I see it firsthand, the impact of what policy does to businesses. So thank you for the invitation today.
We didn't knew that you were a local politician. So ladies and gentlemen, we will be also having a local politician. He'll be sharing his side of story. So before we begin our discussions around enterprise and your engagement, so first we want to start with your role within the RIDO, how your day looks like.
So I've been at the university for 6.5 years. So before I joined, I spent most of my career working across the third sector, some time in local government, both in the UK and overseas. And what I do within RIDO is that basically I try to take our academic expertise and take that to business. So I do basically business engagement, and that's across SMEs, so the private sector, large, small, medium. It's also working with local government at various levels, central government, but also third sector, so voluntary, community, charity, social enterprise organisations. And it's helping them and their business develop and move. So we're trying to take that expertise from our academic community. In my case, I'm assigned to support the Faculty of Business and Law. So we're looking at that expertise they've got, whether that's around leadership, whether that's around management, whether that's around development, whether that's around entrepreneurship, and taking that and then working very closely with those businesses and helping them on their journey. In some cases, that's a very entrepreneurial journey, to looking at how they can move from A to B. And there are lots of challenges from A to B. So that's in my day-to-day work. That's what I do. I'm there to represent the university, but I'm very much external facing, working with our external partners.
Yeah, so external partners includes working with startups.
Yeah, so it will work. So I work very closely with a number of different businesses, and the best way to describe that is that I sit on a growth hub board across Essex, which supports startups. So I'm the ARU representative. So that board is there through the growth hubs to support businesses across Essex. So it's understanding the challenges which businesses have, and a lot of that is around adapting to the market conditions. So they change. They're changing on a daily basis, and we've had a number of shocks, as you will know, policy shocks. We've had, the UK in 2016 made a decision to leave the European Union. That was a decision which affects businesses. Yeah. We've then had a situation around inflation, the cost of living allowance. That impacts businesses about the capital they can raise. Interest rates are higher than they have been. Inflation is higher than it has been. And then we've also had a situation internationally where there's a war in Ukraine, which also impacts businesses. So one of the things I think you might be quite interested to know is that businesses are actually very resilient. And why are they resilient? They're resilient because they know the market, their ability to adapt. They have good people in them as well. I think this is important. They've got people who do the right jobs for that business requirements. So a number of your students, people you work with, are some of those future leaders in those businesses for the future. And those are the skills that those businesses are looking for. So if you've survived that in this past 2 or 3 years, you're going to survive quite a lot.
Yeah. You mentioned about Brexit. You mentioned about the factors that are affecting the companies externally, the uncontrolled factors. Yeah. So in the past couple of years, the global businesses, they have seen the various other hits like Brexit, from Brexit to the government changes, and then you have a COVID hit. Yep. And there is still a lot of uncertainty. So how do you see the current businesses? What is the thing that you think is the area of work for current business? How's the entire market looking like?
So I suppose if you speak to a business, the thing that they always want is certainty, and I suppose, it's not for me to, even though I say I'm a local politician, it's not for me to give a political view within this arena, but one of the things which is quite important is very much businesses are looking for certainty. What does that mean? Certainty for their business. So if they know what the situation is, you can adapt, you can plan, you can invest, you can recruit. So some businesses have stopped recruiting because they can't afford to recruit, or their margins have changed. They haven't got the margins they once had, so they can't invest within their business. You're seeing businesses relocate because they can't afford the floor space, which is maybe not a bad thing, because you're getting businesses moving out of some of the bigger places across the country into other places that need that investment. So you're leveling up parts of the country. But I think it's important to understand that if you've got a good product, you understand your market, and the market changes. And one of the things we were just talking about before is the retail sector, how that's changed. Gone are the days of large, big department stores, but we now have opportunities for different sorts of businesses, micro businesses being set up, which could basically not fill those gaps, but offer a different offering on the high street. That's quite exciting. That's an exciting place for a young person to really get involved in. They've got a germ of an idea. They're in an incubator of an innovation hub. Then they could take that business and take it to the high street. So I've seen that at first hand in Ipswich, where I live, where we've got a congregation of a cluster of businesses, young people driven, Omkar, young people, who have got this passion for a business. And what's quite interesting, some of the businesses which they're set up, I never thought about, and it's around what they call geek businesses. So it's like this role play. It's things I never even imagined when I was their age. They've set those businesses up. They've done really well. They want to grow. They want to expand. So they're now coming into the high street and taking over a vacant premises. And then they're going to employ staff. They're going to employ local staff. That's a boost for the economy. So that's really encouraging. And these are young people, really innovative, creative, dynamic young people.
And do you think the current scenario, especially from the government perspective, and the current UK market is adaptable to the new innovations, new businesses?
So I think, the things that I see, that there are lots of people who have got really great ideas. That's without a question of a doubt. I mean, we work for a university which is very dynamic, very entrepreneurial, so there is a great level of support for businesses out there. So if I was a business or someone who had an idea, where would I go to get that support? I would be speaking to Innovate Edge UK. I will be speaking to my local growth hub. I will be going out to various networking events, the FSB. This sounds like I'm plugging like an advertisement for all these organisations. But these are people who understand the challenges businesses face as much as we do. And, the Federation of Small Businesses, which was just name-checked, the Chamber of Commerce, they're good organisations to give businesses some of that initial support. We as a university, where we come in, is that we can support businesses around our graduate talent. We can look at opportunities for our students to engage around placements, internship, live brief opportunities, but also where some businesses who are more mature might want to look at a relationship where they contract us to do a piece of work. So that's where business is more mature. They're looking to grow. Again, they want that academic expertise. That's really beneficial.
Yeah, and let me ask one question on behalf of the students.
Yeah.
What is one particular sector that is currently booming and students or the aspiring entrepreneurs should think of starting a business there?
So I think the supply chain, just the whole supply chain, there was all this talk that this was a sector which was not going to grow. It looks to me to be growing, because just because of the nature of where trade is and where it's flowing, and new markets are going to open, and people, it's so important, all of this. If you think about, again, our local economies where we're in the east of England, we're going to have potentially brand new nuclear power stations. That requires a supply chain, and that requires opportunities for businesses to be in that supply chain. And when you think about the skills required around the supply chain, around project management, let's think, me and you are working on the business on a Friday. We're about to go home, about to go and see our families. It's 5 o'clock. 5 to 5, something happens. And it's impacting our business. What do? You can't go home. You can't. Because you need to make a decision about how you're going to rectify and, change the problem you've got right in front of you. So you can go home. It might take an hour later, it may take an hour and a half. And these are some of the things that only through working and having experienced businesses, you realise the theory is very different from the practice. So you have to respond. You've got to respond to what's in front of you.
Yeah, and now speaking from the university, Anglia Ruskin perspective, we have a lot of students who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. And for example, you have been the big pitch. Big pitch competition which was running. Now it's called as a Think Big ARU pitching competition, and we have more than hundreds of applications students submit every year. And that just goes from starting a service sector to a product to a wide range of sector they're trying to cater. You've been a judge previously in previous competitions. How do you envisage student entrepreneurship, its importance, and how do you link it with student engaging on area related activities?
So you're right. So I was very fortunate to judge twice, and then I was also involved in one of the earlier stages 2 years ago. So I've had this sort of front seat to it all, and I've seen a lot of passion come through from a lot of students, lots of ideas, an opportunity to test those ideas, but an opportunity to gain skills. And I think that's one of the important things of the big pitch, was that it offered an opportunity, as does its other competitions. It gives you an opportunity to test your skills, to test your confidence, and to work across teams. Because businesses sometimes very much are, you need a different skill set. So when you're thrown together, someone's got some marketing expertise, someone's got some leadership expertise, someone might have some financial management expertise. Big pitch is a great way, a great vehicle, as other competitions, to bring those people together, and to really test that. So the theory which we're taught at the university is so important, and it helps people with their thought processes to allow them to do that in practice. So it works really well. Not every idea that comes out is going to earn someone £1 million. Not every idea is going to work. I mean, think of it. I think Steve Jobs has said he'd failed in so many business ideas before he got to the idea that actually works. I think that's quite true. We need to be in a position where we're comfortable with failure, as in not everything's going to work, and is by things not working, we can actually then change and amend what we want to do with our business idea. It's interesting that the airline industry, so which obviously has, if something happens in the airline industry, it's really obviously awful, of course, but it's because things can be so catastrophic. They're built-in mechanisms, to learn when anything really badly happens, so they can change that in the future. So it's how we encourage a safety environment for people to fail, to learn. And I think that's really important. And the big pitch was a great vehicle to do that in.
So we will be having Think Big ARU pitching competition again in the future.
Right.
So from a judge perspective, you have been involved quite actively in marking and selecting the business to go ahead.
Right.
What are the key areas you look in a business when student is pitching? So
I know when I've seen, I want to see people done their research. I really want to know that people understand the product, what they're in a sense that what they're trying to sell. And in many ways, you're trying to sell yourself, because we sell ourselves every day, and it's important to sell yourself every day because that's who we are, So I want to see someone who's done their research, who understands and has thought about it inside out and can talk with it with a degree of passion and enthusiasm, but also understand the challenges around the idea as well. So do your research, understand the market, understand also, I think, the pinch points, the difficulties, the challenges that you might have. So be really critical of yourself about, so really explore, the idea which you've got, and that's going to help. A lot of people don't research the market.
Yeah,
they just don't. They come up with an idea. The idea is fine, but they haven't done that research. They think it's very novel and different. It's the first time someone's come with an idea. Then there's another 150 people have also come up with the idea.
Yeah.
And so it's coming up with something which is very novel.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Market research is one of the very important tools when it comes to either convincing an investor or raising investments further.
Yeah.
Any tools, any tips for market research?
So if you're a student here, speak to your lecturers. I'm going to say, we've got some great marketeers here. I mean, there's so much stuff available nowadays, so much stuff compared to when I was the age of all our students now, especially through LinkedIn and through just the various networks where you can just get yourself aligned to and go to and get out there and start speaking to people. So if I was a young person with a business idea, I would want to get out there and start networking and start speaking to my peers. So you're learning from each other. And it's not about competition. It's about, exchanging and understanding and just learning. If you're a student here, learn from your academics, learn from your fellow peers. As I say, got some great marketeers here. Speak to them, and also understand some of the pitfalls. And there will be pitfalls. There are things which won't work. So understand all of that. There's some great modeling out there from businesses. So explore, read, and research. We might keep.
Yeah, and if you want to just highlight 3 key areas or key advice essentially for the future applicants on the pitching competition, what that would be?
So if I was going to, if I was interested myself and I was going to pitch an idea, if I was interested in entering the competition, and I was thinking, okay, I'm interested in this competition, what am I going to stand out? So I need to understand the market, what I'm going to offer. So if I'm coming forward with this proposition, I need to understand the market for that. If I don't, that's going to be problematic. I'm going to also need to understand, some financials, I think, because that's always someone that always asks is going to say, are you going to pay for this? What are your pinch points? What are the margins? Are you going to make this profitable? How are you going to fund it? What's the investment looking like? I think you need to understand some of that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's vitally important. So again, it's your research, it's your marketing, understand the market, it's your financials. But I also think there's something about you as an individual, who's got that passion and that drive. You do need drive, and there needs to be a little bit extra. Not everyone can do it, Omkar. So why are some people more successful than others when it comes to just going that final step? Why? Sometimes that's a drive, and that for me is quite key.
Yeah, thank you. Speaking from an business SMEs side of things.
Yeah.
You have worked with wide range of businesses.
Yeah.
Do you see any one common challenge among all these?
Yeah, so there's always a challenge around recruitment, getting the right people, and so there's it's skills. Do we have the right skills to address the challenges? Businesses would want to know the right skills. Have we got the right skills? So there's always this conversation about, where those skills are. So that comes up quite a lot. That is a challenge for a lot of businesses. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think we have covered your journey.
Yeah.
Your role.
Yeah.
An interesting fact, you're a local politician, some tips and advice for the students. And I'm sure this is going to be very helpful when you provide your insights for the future applicants for the Think Big pitching competition.
Thank you, Omkar.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Julian Gibbs.